Hi, everyone. Now I'm going to be discussing with you comparing the different macronutrients. This is definitely going to be the most timely and confusing part of your project. But let's go ahead and kind of explain what I'm looking for. Basically, the goal of this part of the project is you have now logged 2 days of eating. Okay. Of course, none of us are going to eat completely healthy. And this project is helping you realize where you are not eating healthy and then kind of coming up with a better plan of how we can adjust that. So the goal for this part of the project is to compare the macronutrients that you ate on the 2 days you logged. What's your goal? What was your average? And then how are you going to adjust that average to be in those healthy zones? So if you go to MyFitnessPal and you go up here, it says reports. If you click on reports, it is going to have a chart of reports available for you. Now, on your assignment, if you go to this page, it says calories. My number, my goal. Here, you are going to select this little drop-down menu and you're going to go to calories. Now, mine is going to look a little bit different because you guys would have logged only 2 days of food and I have logged food for multiple days, so it might look a little confusing, but I'm only going to focus on 2 of those days. So I'm going to do 1022 and 1023 for all of these things that I'm doing. So if I go back to the PowerPoint, it says, what is my goal? This red line right here on MyFitnessPal is going to tell you what your goal is. And this is also on slide like 2 or 3. You should have already filled this out, but I'm going to do that. So my goal is 1,700 calories. And then I'm going to look at what my number was. To get your number, since we're doing 2 days, we are going to have to take the average of those 2 days. So I have my calculator here so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take the average of the 2 days I'm doing. Remember, I'm doing 1022 and 1023. So I'm going to do 1573 plus 1795 divided by 2. Let me see something. That's not going to be right. 1573 plus 1795 equals, and then divide that number by 2, 1684. So my number was 1684. That was my average. So averaging both days, I was pretty close to my goal. Next one, I'm going to do carbohydrates. So I'll go back to this chart and report. I'll scroll to carbs and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to take the average of both of my days. So wherever I did put that calculator at. There we go. So I'm going to bring that up. Okay. And let's do the average. So once again, I'm doing 1022, 1023. I'm going to do 245 plus 225 equaling, and then I'm going to divide that by 2. So my average carbs consumed for the 2 days I logged was 235. So I'm going to put that here. Now I need to make sure I go back and look at what my goal was. Remember, it's that red line. My goal is 213, and I got 235. Now, this is the important part. Calories we have blocked out because I don't really want you to discuss like calories, although like calories do give us an average number. They don't really tell us important things because I could eat a 2,000 calorie diet with chips and Coke and all that stuff. And I could eat a 2,000 calorie diet with fruits and vegetables and all that. So we're not going to focus on that. But you can see here, my goal was 213 and I got 235. So now the question is, am I over? Did I meet, or am I under my goal? So I am over it by about 15 grams or so because this is measured in grams. I am over it a little bit, But I feel like I'm not far enough over it that it's concerning. So I would say that I met my goal when it comes to carbohydrates. I'm just going to put an X there for now. I'm going to do this for the rest of them. So then I'm going to go to this. I'll do fiber, I believe is what I just saw. Then I'm going to do it for both days. So 14 plus 4, those are my two numbers added together. Divide it by 2 because it was 2 days. So my average was 9. Now you see here it says that females should get 25 grams of fiber every day, and I was obviously under, so I'm going to put an X there. I'm going to continue this for sugar, fats, and etc., but I do want to go over saturated versus unsaturated fats because it is a little bit different. So if I go to this drop-down menu, it's going to say saturated fat, polyunsaturated, and monounsaturated. So saturated fat, just like the last two, I'm just going to take the average. So I would do 29 plus 14 equaling, divide that by 2. So I'd get 21.5. So I'd put that there for unsaturated. Was that my unsaturated? That was my saturated fat. So I would put 21.5. Okay, now this is where it's going to get a little bit confusing and a little bit of math being involved, so make sure you're following along. I'm first going to do polyunsaturated. So I'm going to add my numbers for these 2 days, 10/22, 10/23. I had 1 and 3. So 1 plus 3. Then I'm going to do my monounsaturated. That was 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4. So then I'm going to add all of those together and get the average for my unsaturated fat. So 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 7. That's 11, and then divide that by 2. I got 5.5. Now, it's saying, am I over, met, or under my goal? Your saturated fat should be lower than your unsaturated fat. Remember that saturated fat comes from animals. I got 21.5, and this unsaturated should be like higher. I am under on unsaturated because I only have 5.5 unsaturated fats, but I have 21.5 saturated fats. So I need to be aware of that. Then I'm clearly over on my saturated fat. Once again, you will continue this process for sugar, fats, and protein, okay? When you are done with taking the average, looking at your goals and all that, you are going to discuss what's up here highlighted on this slide. It says, if you exceeded your goal, what could you replace in your diet? If you met your goal, what were some healthy foods that helped you reach your goal, etc. So I'm going to do, let's go ahead and do carbohydrates, okay? So it's saying, if I met my goal, what were some healthy foods that helped you reach your goal? You guys are going to be going back to these screenshots that you did. Obviously, I don't have them here. But you're going to be going back to those screenshots and look at what you ate that helped you reach that goal. So I can see on this day, what did I eat that had carbs in it? This isn't actually mine. This is just an example. So you're going to be able to go back to the screenshot that you put on these slides and discuss, okay, I met my goal for carbs. What did I eat that helped me reach that goal? In my diet, I had blah, 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 blah. You are going to once again find that on those screenshots that you put. So there's that. Then I would have that information there. I was under on fiber. So I would go to my report. I would see, okay, here's my fiber. I got 4 grams of fiber from this. Whatever. Obviously, I did not meet my fiber. So it's asking me, if you did not reach your goal, which I did not, what could you add to your diet that would help you reach it. So I can literally use Google, what are foods high in fiber? Boom. Good sources include barley, oatmeal, beans, nuts, fruit, etc. So literally on my little project, I can write fiber. How can I put more fiber in my diet? Let me be realistic here. What are some foods that are listed here that I could put in my diet that I like? I'm going to say to add fiber into my diet, I am going to add an apple with peanut butter to my plan. Boom. That's going to give me more fiber that I need. And I will continue this same process for the following things. Saturated fat. Looks like I was over on my saturated fat. So I'm going to go look at my report. What did I eat that was high in saturated fat? This is going to when you have to think about saturated versus unsaturated fat. So saturated, what did I eat that came from an animal, which is why my saturated fat is high. And so I'm going to obviously look at that. Hopefully me running through this with you helps a little bit. You guys are going to continue to do this. When you are done with this slide, it should be completely filled out. So every box over here, not every box, but you should have one of these 3 boxes completed in every single row. It should be specific because this is kind of me learning if you are aware of the deficiencies in your diet. You're also going to kind of use this as a guide for the next part of the project as well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email and I will be happy to help you.